Well, Christmas 2020, what can you say? Of course it's going to be weird. This whole year's been weird. And you know, where I live, we have some pretty big restrictions where we can't really see people outside of our immediate household. So we are going to not be seeing a lot of our family, which generally we do. But it does remind me of a Christmas that we had a few years ago, 13 years ago actually. We had just moved to an island off the coast of northern BC. It was isolated. And we had a 2-year-old and a newborn, and I was without my family for the first time at Christmas. You see, when I was a kid, we would pile into our sometimes working car that sometimes had heat, go through the mountain passes of BC, the windy roads into the straighter roads of Alberta. You could see the glow of Calgary as you pulled up. And once we got to my grandma's house, it was the warmest place you could be in the world. It was decorated beautifully, so much family, so much love. I put my head on my grandma's lap and she'd play with my hair. It was so nice. The real fun though was in the basement. My brother, my cousins, and I had a great time. We would only come up if we wanted to have some pop or some food, and then we'd go right back down. We watched VHS and beta Christmas movies. We played trampoline on the hide-a-bed, and we made up pool billiards games on my grandpa's pool table. It was so fun. I barely remember what presents I got. I can only think of a couple because the real fun was the time I had with my family. And even when my grandparents moved to the West Coast where there's almost no snow, we still had great Christmases. My brother would come out, my cousins, aunts. It was a really good time. So that Christmas 13 years ago where we had just moved to northern BC on a little island that was super isolated, my husband worked shift work. I knew it was going to be a terrible year. I was without my family. He was scheduled to work until 11 p.m. But on Christmas Eve morning, he said to me, probably I can get off at 8 and we can tuck the kids in and have a drink and watch a show. So I was like, well, okay. And then I talked to my mom. I thought she'd cheer me up, but she totally didn't, because she told me my grandma was walking around in a Santa hat, which sounded adorable. It actually had snowed. I mean, it almost never snows on the West Coast. And my grandpa was in the basement wrapping presents. And my aunt and her kids were coming over, and I was seriously missing my family. I was missing out. Like, I should have been there, but instead, no, I was on this remote island. I had my kids there. They weren't getting to enjoy the fun. So I turned on some Max and Ruby, and we watched some Elmo, and I listened to some Blue Christmas. Just sort of bided up my time until my husband got home. And he wasn't home at 8, so I put the kids to bed, put out the presents, and decided I was gonna have an eggnog and turn on It's a Wonderful Life. I was gonna turn this around. But then the phone rang at 10, and I was a little worried. And of course it was him, and he was telling me that he had to work until 8 a.m. that no one was able to come in to work, and he had to work the rest of the night. I was so upset. I ran to the bedroom and started crying in bed. I was so lonely. I was without my family, and my husband wasn't even there, and I just had 2 sleeping kids. So I went, I put away the presents because I knew the kids wouldn't know, and I just went to bed. And the next morning when I got up, my husband just got home. I tucked him into bed because he was exhausted, and I thought, well, I'll make the Christmas dinner. So I made the Christmas dinner, played with the kids, looked out at the scenery, and it was of course beautiful in northern BC on Christmas Day. And then I started to realize it was different. It was peaceful, gave me the opportunity to reflect. My husband got up at 2. We had a nice early Christmas dinner. It was actually a really nice Christmas. It was probably one of the best Christmas I ever had. I saw that Christmas can be different than every other Christmas I had had because they were all so similar. They were wonderful. I have amazing memories. And you know what? I hope to have a couple more like that. I'm lucky my grandparents are still alive, but I want them to stay alive, so I'm not going to visit them with COVID running around. But I really did learn that Christmas that taking a more peaceful time without less people around isn't terrible. Things can be different, and that's okay. So I hope that everybody this year is able to have a peaceful Christmas. If you're really upset and you feel like you may hurt yourself, you need to call an emergency number. But I also think that a lot of us, it's important that we get fresh air. It's important that we get outside. It's important that we make it somehow festive. We have some delicious food. We connect with people, whether it's through phone calls or Zoom calls or whatever. This year has been a crazy, and you know what? Hopefully you get a great Christmas story out of that. And a Happy New Year to you, and Merry Christmas. Bye.